All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the big one, the big Kahuna, the giant cheese, the nadir of the entire story. It's going to be a ride. 5051 is going to be multiple episodes of the Oot Cast because I really don't think we're going to get it done in one go. And once again, I have my dear companion Techno with me, who has finally torn himself away from the travails of life to do this episode.
I sure hope the
And
rest of you are ready, because I'm not.
because we are now prepared to have our souls crushed and our minds warped into a messy state of infinite gooiness as we try to navigate the ever deepening waters that are chapters 50 and 51 of Out of Touch.
This is going to be long, for sure,
It's
because we both played it,
we
and we're both like, wow, that's a lot to talk about.
yeah, we're going to be stopping and starting all the time. This is going to be very slow, very granular.
Mm.
It's going to be a ride. So forgive us ahead of time for the sheer amount of talking we're going to be doing. All right.
Yep. Without further
Here we go.
ado, boot.
Boot.
One thing we will be doing is there's a bunch of voice acting in this chapter, and I think we both agreed that we're going to probably let it play out because we also want, because we'd be reading most of the lines that get shown anyway, so we might as well just let the wonderful voice acting do its job. So if that may also take a while for the episodes as well.
Particular shout out. I'm just going to get ahead of this. Shout out to Alicasa for great
Yes,
voice
absolutely
work. Like I'm not a fan of voice work for AVNs in general, but her work is truly
I
exceptional.
will also say a similar thing. Hearing that it was going to get voice acting, I was a little like, I wasn't like against it, but I was like, I already have a voice for these characters in my head. She totally blew it out of the park. This chapter fucking convinced me, sold me 100%. I was super fucking into it.
Agreed.
I'm excited
So
for
big credit to
everything else
Alicasa.
after.
Check her out. She certainly deserves the attention.
Absolutely,
All
she does.
right, let's get this. Focus up and get this done.
Okay. So, where we left off last chapter, which that was Grandpa pretty much telling CJ, "You better come to America, or I'm gonna kill your mom." Right.
Yep. And also, find out the truth. Yada yada yada.
Right.
Figure your shit out.
Because Grandpa's never wrong, and we definitely should be coming to America to figure that out. Obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yes, opening with Victoria taking charge because CJ is probably not really feeling it right now.
Getting all of the preparations ready to make their way to America as Ashley's still asleep.
Still vibing.
We get our talking to after the other side adventure.
She is still asleep from the events of chapters 49, where she nearly got sucked into that seal on Hebe.
What
Sorry,
so
Hebe,
important?
which we've now confirmed is the way to pronounce it. Thank you, Alicasa, once again.
It doesn't matter how it's really pronounced. We're all going to pronounce it wrong.
We'll get it right. We're the canonical source. And our sleeping beauty awakens. But CJ is swearing here and showing real anger, which is unusual for him, and shows that even now he's a little on edge, to say the least.
Right. Well, nothing like you're threatening to kill your mom will do that to you, right? I mean,
right. Even if you have an immensely complicated relationship with said mom.
Even though you made mom forget who you were.
Right. For her own good.
Right. Well, I mean, better option.
That was no game. Right, so.
Right. Of course, the whole entire group been like, why is he doing this? Honestly, never related more to the group than I have at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, but this is classic Hayato MO, right? Leave a trail of breadcrumbs that you're compelled to follow.
Figure out 90% of the plot only to get the fucking answer wrong at the last second.
Hey, I'm feeling very targeted right now.
Well, hold on. I didn't say 95%.
That makes all the difference.
That's
Thanks,
right,
ma'am, brother. But yes, Vic looking gorgeous as she ever does.
Absolutely. I mean, Vic brings up a good point. Why?
She's
Why
asking the
have those
question.
girls attack Kieran
She's
and then just
basically being
bolt?
audience. She's being audience surrogate right now, right?
Right.
Like she's asking the questions that we're like, well, why attack? Why are we going back to California? What's there that we need to deal with?
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell was
new
the
guy?
new guy on the throne? And it's interesting that Sarah doesn't see this guy. New guy? What guy?
Right, that is interesting, I guess, to be fair, because Vic sees everything.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yes, you had your
we'll
breakdown earlier when I reminded you of that.
We'll be talking about that at the end of this whole chapter chain here, because Rayze did bring up a really good point about how fuck shit's about to get.
Especially for Vic, even though she's not directly involved in these chapters much at all.
Right. Nothing. Nope. Can't talk about it yet.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Let's
just plug on, because man, oh man, we got a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we see CJ talking about how he witnessed seeing the guys that he knew from the city, from Jamie's arc, and again in Leia's arc, he met them.
And he makes a good point here, saying like, there's something in each of those guys I can relate with, but him, honestly, I'm more inclined to believe that there is something in it that he can relate to. He just doesn't want to fucking admit it. But again,
or this could be reflective of a theory that I will be expounding a lot and then adding to as we go through this. I suspect that Man on the Throne may not actually be a CJ shard or OG shard in the traditional sense, but we'll get to that in a bit.
All right, can't wait.
And then Kieran and Misaki showing their...
Misaki being clearly...
Kieran too, because she picked up on it. Like, she noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Between the two of them, they actually pay a lot of attention to the emotional states of everyone around them. Just Kieran is less open about it.
Right. Well, I mean, because despite Misaki not having a voice, just funny as fuck for the later in this chapter, she speaks the most when it comes to Kieran and her. So
I mean, in a sense, she's kind of Kieran's internal monologue, sort of.
Yeah.
Because we don't actually get Kieran's internal monologue.
You don't really need a voice in your head when you have a literal voice in your head.
Right. But yes, here's our girl waking up with her twisted ring. It's interesting her ring is twisted where other ones are just pure teal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Wish we could get a close-up.
Am I having a Wizard of Oz moment? No, actually, darling, you just, And everybody's happy to see Ash, as anyone who with a brain or heart should always be.
That's right.
Shout out to my man, MM. And this is where we have a little bit of a moment. Huh? Where the fuck can I see you two now? Kieran only just realizing that she can see Misaki now.
Right. Well, I guess from her point of view, she's always been like always off in the corner, but could never look at her. And then now it's like, oh yeah, wait, what the fuck? Yeah. I can see you now.
And so can Ash.
And of course, Sarah and Beck being like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
What's going on here? And now we jump
something
to
a little
Jamie.
bit more serious.
Yeah, Jamie and Mizui and Kay dealing with the detail of the more serious of the aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
The practicals over the emotionals, which is kind of their... And we see, yes, Haruki and Shiori, who have not yet woken up. And we start to see Kay, and this is actually, in some ways, her relative silence for quite a lot of this scene is interesting, because it's the first sign, I think, that she's perhaps becoming aware that she's going to have to do some heavy things to get through this.
Especially for, I mean, pretty clear, especially after the plane takes off later.
Yeah.
And of course, Mizzy being like, of course it's a trap. It's Hayato.
Yeah. Again, but this is again, as much as Hayato gets things wrong, you have to hand it to him. He knows how to manipulate, because it's a trap that he knows they know it's a trap, but he knows they're going to go into it anyway because they don't actually have a choice. Not really.
Right, and Jamie literally brings it up. We have much of a choice. He's going to kill Naomi. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of agree.
I don't just from a practical perspective, Missouri
I
is correct.
kind of
Naomi isn't
agree.
worth risking the fate of the world. Absolutely.
Right. But then
Like for a
again,
character.
but here's the thing though, right? Is like they all, at least anybody that can really think about it within the group, knows that there's no point in killing Naomi at all, other than just to egg CJ on. Like there's literally
Yeah, it's
no
just
point.
it's just
gonna
a
do
it's just
nothing
it's
but
the
piss
stick.
him off.
It's the stick to the carrot. I mean, that's the
Right.
thing. Even though you'll notice if you pay attention to how Hayato handles a lot of this, how from his reappearance all the way through these chapters, he is very much using a carrot and stick method. The stick is the threat against his mother, although that has more meanings than we might think as we go further
Which
into.
is fucking hilarious, by the way.
Yeah, which is
Because-
definitely a thing.
Because I is he lying? No.
No, he's not technically lying, regardless of how you take it. It's
Right.
just really fucking whew, mindfuck. Anyway, he's going to go after Naomi as the threat. And CJ would, of course, seek to prevent that. I mean, he would probably try and prevent it, even if it was just a bunch of random strangers, because that's just who he is.
Right. Because CJ is our perfect golden boy, and he would never do anything wrong because he's literally perfect.
He is. I mean, how could anyone not be who has all these lovely ladies in love with him, right?
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy's the perfect man.
Right. Yes, but Missouri again. She clearly is the one who has the clearest understanding of Hayato's mindset, which makes a lot of sense. She has his memories.
Yeah. Right.
But it's worth noting that Jamie really does feel like she's really grown into her role of a more leadership position now. Like she's taking charge more.
Oh yeah.
Not in
especially
a
after...
arrogant way, but in a much more like assertive way.
Yeah, especially after her whole transformation. What was it? A couple chapters ago? Was it last?
Yeah,
chapter?
when she on Jamie date during 48.
on Jamie date. Definitely just seems like she's really grown into herself. It's super nice to see. We love Jamie progression.
We do love Jamie progression.
And as a matter of fact, I think, I don't know, does this happen here in a little bit? I don't know. Someone gets pissed at Jamie, and I can't remember who it is.
Kieran.
Kieran, yeah.
But she snaps at Mizue with Mizzy a little bit ahead of here.
And then we get the realization, or at least what they think is, both the sisters are still inside of
Ash, but that's quickly. But this is interesting that the Hashad's recombining. That's an element which comes into play a little bit later. Like, and from what we learn with Kay here, there are some implications.
Again, isn't the end of the world all the time, because we've seen, especially with like Jamie and Mizzy and Matoy, it's possible for them to exist and have
Yeah, I know that's something that's going to become really relevant later. Because I know a lot of people, one of the biggest concerns is the consequences of 5051 is certain characters possibly being integrated or lost, and that's not something you have to worry about.
Yeah. I mean, again, not like that's the craziest thing to be worried about. I do feel like if you're paying enough attention, you're going to be like, well, yeah, but they're not. They're still, like, I mean,
themselves.
Those those characters literally say, yeah, I could have done that at any time. I just didn't. So.
Yeah. And also the precedent is set with Jamie and Mizzy.
Something that we need to go back and look at on our own personal time is whenever Lindsay casts her domain expansion right before Hayato takes them.
I could talk a bit more about that once we get to the revelation with CJ later on. I've got some thoughts on that which I think will hopefully lend some possible clarity.
Sure. Okay, I'm fine with that as well.
And Ash just busted in there. Are they up there? She doesn't give. Are they okay? She just wants to make sure her family's okay. Ash, wearing her heart on her sleeve as she often does. She's very emotional, Ash, but it's in a good way.
Kieran Finchcliffe.
I know. But that's such a Kieran pose, right? Like, such a Kieran thing is like, even unconsciously, she's going to be feeling it. Yeah, but this is when everyone realizes that they weren't.
It blows my mind how like Kieran and Misaki look so different, but like they should have the
If you
same
look at their
body type.
physique, if you just basically just ignore,
Yeah,
like
it's
put if you just look at their physique, they're
Yeah.
much more similar.
it's the exact same.
Kieran is just scaled up a bit, which makes sense when you consider how powers work.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't changed.
Right.
But yeah, this is where we start to realize things are perhaps a little bit even more complicated than we thought, dear Ashley.
And
Poor
we don't
girl.
even get to touch on this.
Barely. It barely becomes relevant until right at the
Mhm.
end, yeah.
I know. I felt like all of this talk that we had been leading up to these two chapters was gonna. I honestly, it just definitely just made us forget what 50 and 51 was gonna be about.
I mean, it just goes to show there's a lot more going on at any given time. Like, one of the things Anon has said to me, and to others, but also to me in the past, was that 50-51 isn't just one twist. It's 4 or 5 twists.
Right. Oh
all combined and on
Also,
top of each
Ash
other.
tan line.
You just can't help but comment on it, can you? You just
Well,
can't help yourself.
It's nice to look at. You got a fucking
It is
problem?
nice to look at. I'm not questioning it. I'm not going to question it. It's fine.
Look.
It's fine.
Look.
But the two sisters, quotation marks, look at that. In perfect sync with how much they care.
Mm-hmm.
And Kieran now saying out loud what people don't understand. They should have. Kieran showing some of that fire again, which, you know. And Jamie just handles it. She doesn't freak out. She doesn't cower. She just is. We're doing what we can. We're looking after them. We'll figure it out.
It's so fucking crazy, this sentence. You have every reason to be upset. We're in uncharted territory. We've been in uncharted territory the whole entire fucking time. Nothing has changed. I mean, I understand why we're upset, Kieran, but like, are we surprised at this point? No. And Kieran does bring up a good point.
She does make a good point. It's very easy to overestimate Hayate, which I think is something a lot of people do, even in the audience, even me, because he is incredibly intelligent. But if you really examine a lot of what he says and a lot of what he does, there are
really
gaping holes.
Perspective as well. Like, we don't really get so Mizzy's supposed to have a lot of his memories, like up until he dies, right? We have no idea.
No. She only has his memories up until he makes the deal with Crow on the stairs.
Okay, right.
Quotation marks on deal. Big.
But we don't know because we know that how his powers work. He's able to just fucking go back on his own timeline and see and do other shit. We see that later in this chapter as well. And he's able to explore the other universe so that we just don't know what he's up to, like, at all.
I mean, and also with how time works on the other side, he's probably been gone for thousands of years of relative time.
Which would make sense as to why he knows, like, most of the things that he knows, right? So it's not like...
Yeah. It's his conclusions that are often wrong, because Hayato's biggest trait is that, yes, he's incredibly intelligent, yes, he's very capable, but his own human nature and his narcissism, his megalomania, all that sort of stuff, which, while not as obvious as many antagonists, it is a filter that he sees everything through. And that's why he comes to so many erroneous conclusions and makes assumptions which serve the conclusion that he wants to reach.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how he's done everything in this entire game so far.
Right. But Kay interrupting here with the key information to calm Kieran and everyone else. And it makes complete sense with what when you think about what she's about to say. Because, as she is about to point out, she is in fact the original Hebe Shard.
Which, again, if you have been paying attention at all, with the whole thing of, like, the storm happened and we pushed back the whole process of generation. Man, how is that possible without a CJ Shard?
Indeed. Yeah, as she says, she is the source of the Hebe shards.
I love her eye.
Yes, the Surime eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's an important line if we go back one. Whatever Hayato did to stop the conjunction from happening also passed down these shards through our families.
Interesting. I didn't. Well, obviously she doesn't know, but when Hayato was, I can't remember. When he stopped the storm, was he still alive?
No.
He was dead.
He was dead. Yeah, he was dead by that point. I think.
I think you're right. Right? Well, no, because doesn't he die and then Jamie's born?
Not long after, months after.
He dies after Jamie's born or before?
He dies in the time just before Jamie's born. So he must have been alive during the time of the storm. Then
that's what I'm thinking. I think
it's just
alive.
odd because he's often described as the man with no face, right, which is the appearance he takes after.
Well,
but maybe that was
because
just
he
his
has
spiritual
to be because. So because of how time works in Oot. So future. Fuck, I don't know. Because I know that Grandpa was experimenting with the other side and the portals and stuff like that. Was he able to travel before he became before
I doubt it. Okay, so because while we're on the subject of time and Oot, there is something I really want to make clear as early as possible. The way time travel works in Oot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There are not alternate time. You don't create an alternate timeline by traveling through time. What happened in the past always happened in the past. Even if you go to the past at some point in the future to make that thing happen. It is still a linear timeline. It's just that you are able to move to different points along that linear timeline. You can not, however, double back. So you go back in time to a particular point once. You cannot go back to that time again.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's completely correct. My point in bringing that up was because we saw in Teresa's arc with Hector, it was a little weird because we see that Grandpa's still alive when Hector gets there, and he's alive for at least for a while, before he ends up dying, because we see the news in Hector's house that he dies, right? We see that, so he was alive whenever Hector got there, but it seemed like it was future Hayato that was talking to Hector. But then past Hayato wouldn't know that. I don't know. It's a little confusing and not super relevant. But I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, it's not desperately relevant. It's not something you desperately need to unravel. There is logic there. It's just you would need to sit down with a pen and paper and lay it all out very carefully.
But bringing that up, but the reason I bring that up is because because we know Hayato's alive, at least up until that point. Hector's in that world. Hector goes to kill CJ. So this has to be, he has to be alive after the storm. There's no way. Like he had to have done whatever he did while he was still alive.
We just can presume that he was in his spiritual form. Maybe he was projecting himself out of his body or whatever. We're not clear when he was doing so, which is why he was always described as the man with no face during those times. Like, recall Ayu talks about how she was hunted by the man with no face. And then we see him briefly when we have Kiyoshi and Mama Ruruko's flashback.
Right. And Kate kind of brings up a point that, like, if there's anybody who knows how to prevent what's going on, it's going to be him. And then everybody's like, why would be okay with that?
Yeah. The problem is that while Hayato has the ability to gain a lot of information and travel through the timeline and all that sort of stuff, his problem is that he is still human and his ability, how he draws conclusions, is still defined by the person he is. So even if he has access to all this information, his conclusions are still defined.
And of course, he has
by
his own motives as well. I mean,
but that's the thing with the narcissism that is at the core of his nature. That means that he's always going to equate things through a very selfish, self-focused lens.
Right. Fair enough.
But yes, Kay drops her bomb, and then everyone's just like, well, shit. Yes, a very complex situation, a lot at stake.
Mm-hmm. Only 4. It's time to leave already.
Color coordinated luggage.
Of course. And Kay's not coming.
That means she's safe, right?
Uh-huh. Nobody's ever safe in this fucking game. If you exist, you just know that there's an anvil ready to drop on your head at any
Yeah,
moment.
but Kay makes a good point here. Physical distance doesn't like really matter in many aspects of spiritual
Except
shenanigans.
I mean, it for the most part seems like that way until like later, like a little bit later. CJ's like, "When's the closest, or how close do you have to be before I can summon you?"
Yeah, but that's more to do with his power to draw people, like the power required from him.
Right. Fair enough.
To physically summon, not just like. But yes, this is just pleasant window dressing of reassuring each other. Ash showing some of her self-doubt, and Jamie showing some of the steel that she's got in her spine now. We'll deal with it. You have my full faith.
Right. Oh, poor
Hebe's
Kay.
powers are what Hayatai knows the least about. That may be your true advantage. Hebe. I'm still gonna go feast
Yeah.
When the time comes, do whatever you think is best. Oh, a line that really, really resonates throughout both of these chapters, and it's interesting that Kay is the first one to say it.
Yeah, but I say it's really what pushes Kieran forward towards the end, especially. So
do what you think is right. Don't listen to anything else per se. Do what you think is right. The only spirit who truly bested him is Crow Yarrick.
And she
Kay
did nothing. Crow bested him and did absolutely fuck all. She just said, "Hey, I'll make you immortal, but you're already immortal, but you don't know that." Fucking, I love that so much.
It is a delicious joke. It is. But yes, Mizue and Kay, who have obviously got a bit of a special connection with each other, because in a sense, Mizue represents a piece of Hayato from before he fell down the dark hole he went. But Mizue, again, I mean, the death flags are all over this conversation. I'll be honest. Like, it's not subtle.
No.
Asking Mizue to take care of her grandchildren, just giving them encouragement and support. It's interesting. She says, for good or ill, whatever his intentions may be, stop him. Good or ill, good or bad, Hayato must be stopped.
Well, his intentions, of course. I mean,
yeah. Road to hell.
We know that.
Yada, yada.
Say, we all know how that fucking goes.
Right.
How? Yeah. Nothing ever happens the way you want it to.
Do not allow him to decide the fate of this world again. Jamie just confident, gladly, and then obviously Ash being a bit more timid. But Misaki, of course, sees the subtext, the emotional subtext of Kay's pain. As does Mizue, in all likelihood. And then we have another little bit. I think Mizue realizes,
yeah,
on some level, yeah, it's a goodbye. See, literally, a goodbye moment. I think Mizue, on some level, recognized that this would happen, or felt like something like this would happen.
Kay knew 100% that this.
Yeah, I feel like Kay was. I mean, that's why she does what she's about to do.
Right. Because, I mean, if he makes a thing like, yeah, you don't need to bring an old woman along, but, like, yeah, I mean, realistically, though, I mean, that would have prevented nothing. And also, it was just an excuse for her to be away from everybody that they didn't have to see.
Yeah, so they didn't have to watch her die. Oh, spoiler! But come on, guys, it was telegraphed so
Well,
clearly.
let's be very clear. You do not need to be watching this if you do not play this yourself. I feel like I didn't have to say this, but yeah, if you didn't play this, go fucking play it. There's no reason you should be watching this. This is not meant for people that have not played this chapter at all, remotely. Spoiler, by the way, she dies. I mean, like,
Goes out like a boss, but yes.
I mean, yes.
But yes, and then here she starts speaking to Crow, and she's right. Crow's always had a connection to her, and therefore can hear.
I mean, yeah, it would this if there was a title to name this chapter, it would have been "It's Been Crow All Along."
It's been Crow all along, as a collective title for
I
both
can
chapters.
see the thumbnail now. It was Crow all along. Always has been.
Always has been. Yeah. God.
Oh.
But yes, here we go. Time on that nice little Learjet, judging by the interior. Don't ask me how I know that.
Wait, what?
It's a Learjet, which is a type of don't worry about it. Let's just move forward.
Okay.
But yes, the maid's doing maid things.
I was like, did I miss something? I was like,
No, you didn't. I'm just being a massive nerd.
Okay.
But everyone's sort of sitting around and just kind of in tension.
Right.
Ash and CJ probably kind of emotionally supporting each other. Jamie, Mizue, and Kieran, talking through the practicals, which is kind of in many ways a division of the responsibilities I think we'll see going forward. Is Jamie's going to be the practical side, CJ's going to be the emotional side, and they're going to complement each other, which again is in perfect alignment with their alter egos, I suppose you could call it, their spiritual roles.
Right.
And Mizue's a little out of it. And Sarah looking pretty out of it. Again, this is something we'll see this consistently happening. She's pretty out of it throughout this entire interaction. Whereas Kieran's the one who's switched on and because obviously it's Kieran's arc. And she obviously is our secondary protagonist.
I can see it right now on the front of the screen, an asterisk.
Giant fucking asterisk. So yeah, but Kieran actually, coming up with a good plan here. Although the fact it's the same plan she pretty much always uses is irrelevant. It's still a good plan for this moment.
The simplest ideas are usually the best ones.
Kind of like
Head first into the wall over and over again.
Over again until the wall breaks. Absolutely.
That's right. We love you, Kieran. This is why.
She is pretty fucking awesome. It's true. I again, throwing it out there, Kieran really grows on me in this arc. Like, I liked her before plenty, but her arc has done her a lot of favors.
I feel so fucking vindicated after this arc. I feel so happy about my early, I fucking love Kieran's story. I can't wait to see what happens. This just made my investment so much better. I was like, yes, so happy. I mean, lots of awful things happen these two chapters for sure, but man, if you're a Kieran lover, you're just fucking in it. These two characters.
Kieran has a lot to deal with, and she okay, so yes, Jamie just laying out Hayato's plan. They know it, and he's right. She's proven completely right. That's what Hayato does every step of the way. They call out his entire plan, but it just shows you how well he planned it. But it just shows you how well he planned this out. He is highly capable.
It's really, I really do like how Anon writes intelligent characters as well, because I feel like it's really easy for a lot of people to write intelligent characters that are know-it-alls.
That's how most people see intelligence, right?
Right.
The easy way to communicate intelligence in a character is to have them be basically all-knowing.
Right, which is the opposite of CJ, who's not intelligent at all and knows nothing. So we have Hayato.
I will kill you. I will actually kill you. I will actually.
Come on, you knew that was coming.
I did, and I'll still choose to kill you every time. But it's just, it's. I mean, again, it comes back to intelligence versus wisdom. If we're going to talk about it in terms of that's kind of smart,
right? But I mean, Anon writes him really well. I mean, I don't ever feel like Hayato just pulls shit out of nowhere. Like it always
No,
feels
no,
like
it makes sense.
sense.
As to his flaws and mistakes, like this is one of the key elements I think
And
of
what's
Oot
crazy,
in general.
and what's
Is
crazy
the
is
consistency of
we
the
have
characterization.
Jamie here as well, who's really smart, like the smartest of the entire group in terms of like intelligence, and yet we get like, I mean, she does not know everything, and
She's
really
aware of that fact.
Yeah.
That's the key difference between her and Hayato when it comes to intellect. Is that she is completely aware that she doesn't have all the answers, and even the answers she does have may be wrong. Whereas Hayato acts with the presumption that his answer is the correct one, regardless.
Mhm.
That's
which
the key
ends
difference.
up leading,
Which is what trips him up again and
because
again.
Hayato, I swear to God, Hayato could have solved every single fucking problem if he legitimately, I don't know how else he could have done it.
Let's just take a single minute to talk about this, right? If Hayato, when he learns about the goddesses, if he had taken a breath and said, "Okay, I'm going to create an organization where I'm going to have peers who I'm going to work with to resolve this problem," and then he had done all of that with help and assistance.
I feel like
if he had worked with, imagine how effective he would have been if he had stayed alive and worked with Jamie and CJ and the rest on this.
For sure, and not to mention, if he had he has access to almost infinite amounts of universes. Like, I just feel like wouldn't, I mean, that's what he had to start doing since he got splintered off after he died. But like, there are other people that are like sort of like him. There has to be.
Why hasn't he talked to the Fae? Like
Right?
Prince Dana's been around for like eons, right? They're highly. The problem is that he takes the perspective that all spiritual entities are some flavor of antagonistic. He doesn't even seem to come into the idea that he could work with any of these characters.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not like he didn't get burned before, which he did, right? I mean, it's not like that's without reason.
But the hallmark of intelligence is not just making the assumption that it will always be that case.
No, and I agree. Like, obviously. Although, to be honest, we haven't seen, at least from our perspective, very many entities that aren't like goddess related. So even though Anon has stated other things exist out there, I do wonder why he didn't go seek something else out. To me, that seemed like a total Hayato thing to go find something else.
It's the narcissistic part of him.
I mean, yeah, he'd rather make himself a god than fucking
ask
for help.
Hayato's default is that he knows best.
Yeah.
And that and because he knows best.
He is the savior. He will fucking save this world. That's his whole entire fucking shtick. I mean, he's
the smartest and most capable person because he can't trust anyone else to do the work.
It's
the narcissistic the narcissistic element of his personality undermines him again and again and again.
Yeah.
Like, imagine just how different he would have been if he had told Kay everything from the start. Like, Kay was clearly the one element that massively softened his character and made him a better person and counteracted his negative traits. The moment he cut her out, he was doomed.
Yep. And what's still nuts is he does all this still because why?
For her.
For her.
By his own words. I mean, I think that's a little bit of self-deception, but also true at the same time.
Because, right, like, I don't think he did it.
Because, I mean, I'll talk about this now and I'll talk about it more later, but being a narcissist, it comes in many different forms and flavors. It's not just how you always see them presented on television as some kind of psychopath. There's a huge variety of the ways it can demonstrate itself. Hayato isn't incapable of love. It's just that the way he loves is that there is a very strong element of he identifies the elements and things that he loves with himself. He sees them as extensions of himself. Not necessarily even in a controlling way, but just in an emotional sense. Which is why he's so protective of them, is because it's the same way he's protective of himself.
Right. Okay, I'm going to try to move us along here.
Yes, we're getting sidetracked again. But we did warn you. We warned all of you.
Yes, I mean, look, we're not trying to rush through this. We know this is going to be long. This is gonna be
and this is the light stuff. This is all the fluff before the plunge. And that shot really reminds me just how long Teresa's hair is.
Right. Oh yeah. No.
When she has it tied up like most of the time, almost all the time, so you don't really realize just how long.
I know
and
her
big
hair is not this color, but it looks gray.
It's just the lighting.
Yeah, in the lighting.
Yeah, and Misaki and everyone's finding it a little dissonant with just how direct she's being. And Jamie's right. Like, strictly speaking, as far as they know things currently, they have the power to overcome Hayato and whatever tricks he wants to pull.
Yeah, that's of course assuming
Hayato much
didn't
more
have
is the case of manipulating
the truth on his side.
Yeah, but Hayato is very good at manipulating circumstance to support him, and that's what he does throughout this. Is for his part. And this is the moment where you referred earlier, where she's obviously thinking about Kay, and Jamie's like, "Focus up, bitch." And it's interesting. It's good that Kieran is the one that steps in,
right? Like I saw this and I was like, oh, yes.
Because it shows growth from her. And ordinarily,
yes,
she would
maybe
even agree with Jamie in the past.
I swear to God, if this was Kieran in the past, telling everyone's trying their best here, chill the fuck out, I'd be like, if I was there, I'd be like, I know you're not fucking talking right now. You're the last person to be saying to chill the fuck out.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, she's right. And look how and Sarah's just like proud.
The last Sarah smile we're ever gonna see.
Shut up! I will fucking. We're not ready yet. All right, we're not ready.
And then of course Jamie having like a fucking like, whoa, you're so right.
Fun moment, fun fact. Go back a frame. Go back a couple of frames. See that on the monitor in the background?
Oh yeah.
That's the bar.
That's the bar. Looks
from
what
we'll see in 51.
Is the bar a real place? Isn't that where they went on that date that one time as well? Before
it's a different. Yeah, it's that bar.
Is it?
Okay. But then Jamie. This is again, as you said earlier. Jamie immediately stands down. She's like, "You're right. The tension's getting to me. I'm sorry." Like, she admits her failing and mistake, and just is like, "Okay."
Right, and to be fair, but don't forget, she is talking to a little bit of herself, and then Kieran's like, "Oh, you're right," and then Misaki's like, something relatable.
Yeah, because it's important that despite the fact that we gain a lot of evidence in these chapters that Kieran and Misaki are separate in many respects, they are also still very intimately connected.
I like how detailed these shots are.
Anon has ascended his craft.
I know. It's just. I mean, I feel like it's not a hard thing to do. I mean, not creating the renders. I mean, like adding characters in the background. Like, you just see the characters like having positions. You don't have people that make games don't have to do that, and
it's the thing is that most people don't think about their shots in terms of depth a lot. Like they're like, oh, so and so are in this scene, and then they don't think about the rest.
And it's a really nice way to, make sure you don't have to have every character on the fucking screen at the same time.
Yeah, and it's a good way, but while also establishing that they are together, and you don't have to just tunnel vision it. But yes, we'll go through it all. These are all quite somewhat important, but some we can get through quicker than others. Like, this one's just a check-in really for Ashley and Kieran to. Basically, it's just a chance for us to try and get some insight into Ashley's mental state after 49. But we do learn a bit here. Like, it's interesting from what we gather in this as to why Ash's powers aren't working.
In language like this, like, just totally makes me, like, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on video, but like the similarities between Kieran and fucking CJ have been glaring since the beginning as well. But like, even the same language, like that ghost fuck face, like
it's a question as to who is emulating who, or whether they're just similar.
Right. Right. I'm just a big fan.
It's good. It is good.
I mean, it really would make sense if, like, because if CJ gets upset, he acts more like Kieran, because reasons, it would make sense.
It would, yes, it would. Although it's a bit of an Ouroboros as to who is responsible for that with the information we get.
I mean, it's all a big circle anyway. So
time is a flat circle. Time is a flat circle.
No.
Blue, green, blue, green. And yes, this is where they're so used
I was
to
about to say,
people not adhering.
And then Ashley overhears this little bit of Misaki being like, she's probably doubting herself and limiting her power. You know, I can fucking hear you now.
Fucking hear you now too, right? It's just, oh yeah. And yeah, Ash is open about it. I think, in light of what happens with CJ, I think both her and CJ throughout her arc are going to have a bit of a similar. This was something mentioned by other people actually in the dub sequence, so credit to you.
Well, it's really funny because I asked Anon a while back, like who is, I don't know if it, I can't remember what the question was, but it was pretty much like who's the most similar to CJ in terms of like how they like are baseline, and he was like Ashley, because Ashley is gonna do almost everything that like it's hilarious because of how we think Hebe is imitating OG, but like he was like Ashley's gonna do almost everything the same way that CJ would do something, and I find this so fucking funny.
Oh, it's not just funny, dude. Like you have no idea how relevant that is, because like we're gonna get into that when we get into what is gonna go on with Misaki in the rest of these chapters. But trust me when I say that is so true. I think in a way that is intrinsic to what's to come, not just in these chapters, but the rest of Oot, but particularly the next arc with Ashley.
I do feel like this keeps getting brought up, her little bit for being able to use her power. Because we don't have an explanation for it yet. I genuinely thought, what?
I have an explanation.
Okay.
I can explain it. Okay. All right. So she gets a power boost from Crow, right?
Uh-huh.
And what we established in 5051, this is getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but I feel it's relevant to this point, is that Crow's most, like the connection that Crow has at the lowest point in her soul, the most central point, is via Hebe. It's via Hebe. It's via Hebe, right? So
we're never getting
that means that when Crow power boosted Ashley, it was probably along that very connection. So that's the reason that Crow was able to power boost Ashley when Ashley otherwise isn't able to use her powers. It's because Crow was using her own power and the connection she innately has to Hebe to make that work.
Yeah, I guess. I really thought it was because Misaki was there. I
mean, that is probably also a secondary part of it. It's probably not just any one thing.
Fair enough. It was Crow all along.
It was Crow all along. Actually, and this is Anon's weapon nerd coming out.
Ashley was the Anon self-insert this whole time.
This whole time. I'm not sure how that connects with the whole come done part, but we'll roll with it. But there's also, I think, an element of truth to Ashley's statement here, but she wasn't thinking about her own inability. She was just focused in the moment. And then, but still, she always comes back to how good CJ looked. Like she idolizes him so much. Listen here, you little shit. No more self-defeating bullshit.
I also like to think that Kieran puts on a British accent.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I imagine.
Oi, listen up now.
Listen up now. See, if I had won the Kahoot, I would have asked Alika to do Kieran's voice with a British accent. I have ovaries of steel. God, I love these lines. I love these lines from Ash. They're so Ashley.
I do wonder who I can't wait to see who we're gonna get for voice acting everybody else.
Right. It's gonna be.
I really do feel like it fucking sucks.
Well, we're
'cause
getting young princess for Vic.
yeah.
I know
Well,
that much.
I feel like
Fiona. But she's on a health thing right
I feel
now.
like the
so
bar's been set
hopefully soon.
pretty high with Allie voicing everything that she's voiced. I feel like she set the bar pretty fucking high. So I'm really hoping everybody else
understandably.
can...
But I mean, I also have faith that Anon will get the best.
Oh, I'm not doubting Anon. He'll.
Yes, this is.
This
I
is
like
his
how
baby. He will not settle for anything less than perfect of what he believes they sound like. So yeah.
This little sequence is actually a callback to how Kieran talks to Ash during the orgy party.
Right.
She's aggressive reinforcement.
Say it louder. I'm gonna do it more.
I'm gonna get bigger toys.
Louder. He's gonna
bring
Mizagi. Kieran.
Too far, Kieran. And here's one of my favorite lines from 50 about to come up.
Right.
And here we see Leia looking as ladylike as ever. You do know people want to pay me to do that, don't you?
Oh, we found our Leah voice actor, ladies and gentlemen.
What can I say? The aristocratic angle just comes to me
I know.
naturally.
Must be British as shit and sound pompous as fuck.
Talk about looking a gift horse in the mouth, huh? Leia, be considerate. Victoria is in full den mother mode right here. Like, she's like, do not trouble the member of the harem. She's got enough on her plate.
And she is distressed. Please leave her alone.
Please leave her be. We must be supportive. Dump truck moment.
I'm
not even worried. I'm pissed off. That's
So
pretty much Kieran. That's the same thing.
Right now. She's normal right
That's
now.
just the same. Well, that's the same thing for her. Worried, pissed off, same deal.
It's all the same thing. It's all the same. That's a theme.
The grandfather of mine, especially not after. Yeah. Yeah, and
Leah, thank you. At least I don't have to say it.
I'm exploding him into a billion bits of splatter. Like, and the thing is, she's not like she's not being like nasty. No, that's what she's gonna do. She's going to do this because you do not fuck with my friends.
Leave some cunty attitude for the rest of us, Leah. Jesus.
Don't give me that. Leia is proven right by Vic's reaction. Like, yes, Vic is thinking exactly the same. Why can't we just be honest about a little murder here and there?
I mean, realistically, it's Grandpa. He's already died, right? We're getting.
I mean, double jeopardy, right? He's already died once.
Right? I mean, realistically, all jokes aside, at this point, CJ is the only one that's like, yeah, CJ's the only one that doesn't want him to die, pretty much.
He's the hard limit on people dying. He's the hard limit on no, we're not killing. I think Ash also fits that line, but I think a lot of that is probably because CJ doesn't want to do
right.
it. So,
again, we talked about them two being similar. I also, especially after the end of this chapter, I really do think that's going to change. I honestly do. I really do think.
I think CJ might initially become more ruthless, but I think he will also mellow out again. Because
I don't think he's going to become bloodthirsty, right?
No, but I think that what we'll see is he'll try to step up more and be more aggressive about things because he doesn't want. He's like, oh, so much pain has already been inflicted. I don't want them to be in pain anymore. It's that kind of logic of overprotectiveness, when really he's just projecting his own pain.
Right.
Kieran's like, I don't give a fuck. I'll break him. I will kill this motherfucker straight up. She's now from the streets. And yeah, she was really hot in that outfit, straight up. Kieran has excellent, and Misaki have excellent.
With the
taste.
bunny samurai thing.
The samurai thing. You wear the bunny. Yeah, that's not what we're doing this for. This is for sure.
I really do like how serious Vic is all about this. Like, she hasn't made a joke about anything at all.
No. But I think that's a mark of how empathetic she is.
I do want to just and she's also, but we're not here for the sake of violence. Like, she's willing to be violent, but not for the sake of it, right?
Yeah. Although I think also it is fair to say that a part of it is probably that she's running away from her violent side.
Well, yeah,
She's denying that violent side.
I mean, look, let's be real here. Leah's gonna kill everybody no matter what, right? Or Harpo is, but like the most violent goddess, if we're not including Crow, is definitely Kyun for sure. I mean, fuck's sake.
Well, she's by far the most damaged from what we can tell. Like she's by far the most unstable.
And it's only gonna get fucking worse.
Yeah, you're still hung up on that, huh?
Yep. I really wish we didn't talk about that right before we started this fucking episode, because that's all I can think about now is like it's gonna get bad. Which we will definitely talk about for sure. Aw, everybody having a good time. And then of course Kieran just, you know, teasing Teresa a little bit. You being his emotional support mommy. And then Teresa totally chattering that with like, oh no, he's actually been helping me because I don't like flying.
I really don't like flying.
I don't like flying.
No surprise, really. Teresa is a very grounded gal.
Right.
Being of the earth.
Hilarious. Yeah.
In Avatar's terms, she's definitely Earth element. You know, straight up.
Misaki, one of these
Absolutely
chapters.
outing her.
Yeah, one of these chapters though, you're gonna be out of that fucking shadow, and I'm gonna rejoice. I ain't scared of nothing. Except throw this fucking ghost off my family aircraft. And then Kieran being like, why is everybody asking me if I am okay to fight my grandfather again? I don't give a fuck.
I mean, yeah. Because, like, on paper, it sounds like something you should, you know.
Right, but of course Kieran doesn't care. Also, he was never around for them.
Like, but she barely knows the guy, right?
Yeah.
Also, the whole, like, you know, seeing him be a psychotic genocidal maniac is gonna really...
Did you think those were stars?
Did you think those were stars?
Fucking actual horror moment.
Right. But it's interesting that in this is a note here. Teresa seeing stuff in Kieran, she's not actually seeing Kieran.
Okay. Yeah.
This whole, the anxiety she talks about here, the anger, the fear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of it is probably Kieran's, but I strongly suspect that most of it is actually Sarah's. Or even Crow's, but mostly Sarah.
I mean,
anxiety, regret, and hesitance. Now, I'm sure she feels those things, but those aren't really as feelings you associate per se, apart from regret, with hesitance in particular. That's not something you associate with Kieran, really.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I don't mean to imply any of this is new. Uh-huh.
It's so fucking hilarious.
So she's been seeing this for a while now in Kieran's aura, huh?
Well, you felt this way for as long as you know for a while, the way you are now.
It just goes to show that as insightful as Teresa is...
Hold on, this is so fucking hilarious, because this is exactly what happens to CJ later. It's I never know if I'm the one really making any decisions, and I just fucking I fucking love it.
I mean, I've said this before many times since 5051 dropped. Kieran and Jamie are the best equipped to help, and Busy are the best equipped to help CJ through his current crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are the ones who, well, and Leia as well. I mean, to an extent, all the girls who are related to the Goddess Shards,
they
but
all
particularly Kieran and Jamie in my book, and Lizzie, because they are the ones who are forced to be what they are. Like, there's the most question marks about their about their independence as people.
Super relatable here, Kieran.
But yeah, I do feel like CJ and Kieran are going to have a bit of their own emotional journey as they go through the fallout in 52, 53 sort of thing.
Right.
We'll go see the maids and have a little bit of fun before the plunge.
Yep.
Because this is pretty much the last bit of levity, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Oh, and we mean for the rest of the story. We don't mean just for this chapter. There will be never any more good times.
It is only
after this
pain,
chapter.
suffering, agony. But it's nice to see the maids being more open about their sexuality and how powerful their sex drives almost certainly are designed to be. Also, Maid Mayo on a stool is adorable.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it makes her barely the same height as Kieran.
My only weakness in life is solved by a bit of furniture. How many people get to say that?
I mean, she right though. That's adorable. That's hot. Inside you are two wolves.
Right?
One wolf is horny, the other one is heart horny.
What if Jamie gets railed or something? Is she gonna crash us into the ocean? Fair questions.
Legit, you know. Although Jamie isn't getting railed right now, I'll have you know. She
He
can't
doesn't
yet.
at all the chapter.
And actually, you know, on this subject, we were lied to.
Oh well,
Anon lied to us. He said we would get Jamie sex, and we didn't get Jamie sex
I
in 5051.
figured it was because he didn't want to include it. I figured it was because.
Oh no, it makes
the
100%
chapter was super
sense.
long.
No, it makes 100% sense not to do it. I'm just, you know, being hyperbolic for the sake of humor reasons. But thank you for completely undermining that entire joke.
Yeah, you're just wrong.
Okay, all right. Let's get back to. Okay, I will make no more attempts at humor ever.
I know, you and your British humor.
You've gotten a taste of food. Ah, yes. God, I love the maids. I knew they were slutty, but didn't know how slutty. God, that's hot. Amen, Misaki.
And
Amen.
oh boy.
And here we go. She's wearing a G-string. God, I love that girl so much.
Yep. Everybody just take this moment to remember. Just take a second to, you know, take it in, guys. This is what we're fighting for right here. And this is what we're all about to lose.
Shh. Okay, here we go. Yep. How are you feeling? Well, I am not happy. Kieran, not happy? She does say. Filled with actual Michelin star food and nice booze, yeah. And you're wondering why they put the bed on the luxury oligarch jet next to the toilet. Well, cleanliness is next to godliness.
So true.
See the joke there? Because CJ's a god and he would fuck on the bed and then there's cleanliness. Yeah, see?
Oh, are you gonna? So now are you gonna explain all your jokes now?
Yeah, well, clearly that's what you want me to do, so that's what I'll do. All right, focusing up again, because that's what we're really good at. But a lot of this, I feel, is Sarah speaking to Kieran, almost like she knows what's coming.
It's impossible to make jokes without being like, yeah, Sarah's just talking to herself.
Well, yeah, Sarah is just, but like she's speaking for like Sarah's doing like speaking forward to Kieran for what she feels is going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's like.
The person sitting right in front of me didn't start this.
An overly precise language choice.
I mean, you're technically right.
You're also technically wrong.
You're technically these wheels before you were ever born.
Mm.
Yeah. I really, this is, I just, this part
That
from
that's
Karen,
classic self-blame. That's not
yeah,
necessarily true
self-blame.
at
Like,
all.
yeah, if I hadn't gone home, this wouldn't have happened. I'm like, okay, but it would have just
That's
happened somewhere
nonsense.
fucking else. Like,
It would have just happened somewhere. Like
Yeah.
they would have just taken them from home, and you would have gotten a message instead of having the whole
right? Because it would have,
confrontation.
yeah, it would have caused the exact same thing. All that did was just provide Strike with the fucking thing that she wanted, which was confrontation. That was the only thing that did.
Yeah. My worst tendencies, the ones that are just like her, they're what caused this.
Man.
Oh, Kira!
Oh, man, Karen. Oh, man, you're so insightful. God, I knew I was a big fan of you for a
So
reason.
true. So true. So true. What am I supposed to do when they're the only thing that I have that can fix this? And she's directly foreshadowing the dilemma that she faces at the end of 51. With how
I can't just stop
with
being her, no matter how much I want to. So true.
And then we get here. There she is. That's
oh, look, there she is.
There she is. Sarah Crow. You have to go back into the frame to get
I
there.
know.
There you go.
Aw.
With visor, no less, which we still need an explanation for.
It's just style. There's like no reason. It's just style.
I would 100% not.
Although
be
I
surprised.
am convinced, other than it being style, I think
But
it's to hide something. With
it's when
least
possibly when it's hiding something, or possibly when it's like it symbolizes some kind of connection of self. Sarah, everybody has flaws. Yeah, yeah. As much as you've wronged people in the past, you do still. And this again, speaking directly to what is going to come in 51 with self-forgiveness and then looking for redemption, doesn't mean that you ever expect to undo what you did in the past.
Nobody's past redemption,
or at least trying for it. Like, you know, if you screw up but still care enough to get upset about harming people, there's still hope for you. Like, again, she's speaking directly to Kieran's and even herself in this regard, now that she's aware of things, as she has been since 44. Yeah, Kieran's right. How easy would this all be if she just stopped caring? Like a certain other one does. What was that last thing she said? What was that last thing she said?
I don't know, Misaki. Let's go back.
And then, next line. That's something she knows nothing about anymore. And that's the key element, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Man, it's almost as if this was being told to us the whole time. You son of a bitch. No,
you son of a bitch, Anon.
God, I just, every single time moments like this happen, I'm just like, I just can hear Anon in my head.
That's how Crow
going, it's so simple. It's so simple. And I'm like, you're a fucker, because you're right, but also fuck you.
Is that your point? And Sarah's like, sure. Outside of CJ, or what she thinks CJ is, yes. Oh, God. This lone conversation telegraphs everything that's about to happen.
We could have just had this conversation and had none of the heartbreak and been fine.
We could, yeah.
Everything
ideally,
and everyone outside of that is ultimately meaningless to her. Man, once again, that's a point that was reiterated a shit ton. And that's legitimately my only problem with Crow. That's literally
she's intelligent, tragically intelligent, and undoubtedly strong. Yeah, she has nothing besides her obsession.
She just doesn't care.
And that's something that, again, that's mentioned many times in the past, but to the point where we take it for granted and don't really think about the consequences of it.
Yeah.
All that you share with her, that isn't one of them. Hayato knows Crow, at least to an extent. Of all that you share, that is such a key line. The fact that it's, you share many things with her, but not this.
I swear I didn't. I don't know how I did that. I did not scroll back and it went back. Okay. Anyway.
Sometimes the inputs get a bit weird with Unity. If there's any trap, it'll be for her. Well, not really a trap for her, but that's a side effect of the plan that Hayato has.
Right.
She doesn't think there's anything left that can threaten her, and she's right. Crow is quite. Crow, especially if you think about the conversation she has with CJ in 44, thinks that she's now in a position to fix everything. The touch scene in the onsen, where she's like, just let me help and I can fix it. He can plan for Jamie. He can plan for Crow. He can even plan for me, but he has no easy answer for you. And again, she's 100% right. And this kind of connects back to something that Anon has said about Kieran for a while.
Wild card.
She's the wild card. She's the one element in this that doesn't fit. And yet she does. But she doesn't. But then she does, but not because of what you think.
She does, but it's because it's not obvious.
Right.
Except to Anon, it's super obvious and you're all fucking stupid. It's right there, guys, in front of you. You should have seen it the whole entire time. And then
do you know
Kieran
what Crow's
asks
thinking?
The glaring question, which is, do you know what Crow's thinking?
Does she talk to you? And Sarah's like, yes, I do, to both. It's interesting she says to both. She doesn't know what she's thinking. You go back to both. What she's saying with that is that she is aware of what Crow's thinking, she says with that is that it's not because she talks to Crow that she knows what Crow is thinking. She knows what Crow is thinking because she knows what Crow is thinking, because she can hear it, feel it, know it, because it's what she's thinking as well.
Because
it is so Sarah though that Sarah goes along with Crow's plan because she does think it's the only way to help save CJ, which is the ultimate thing. Like she understands that CJ is all that matters. Like she loves the others, but CJ is everything to her. It's just that her reason for that is not obsession in quite the same way that Crow has. It's that she loves him so much.
Right.
And again,
because she loves him too, and she knows that if CJ would sacrifice everything for everybody else, so she would also do that as well. I mean,
you know, it's she just feels trapped by.
Don't worry, we're gonna go really in depth in that conversation because Crow says some really interesting things that I fucking love. Yeah.
Anyway, she says, and then I can't promise I'll always be able to. Sarah basically is just talking about how she won't be able to do the right thing. She won't be able to control it or help herself. Kieran's just, every time I try to help, I just make things worse. I mean, this is classic trauma and self-blame and self-recrimination and guilt and all of this stuff. This is the greatest barrier a lot of people have to actually bettering themselves, is that they look back at all the times they failed and they can't imagine that they would succeed in spite of them.
Right, and again,
on some level they think they don't deserve to.
And once again, reiterating once again, as long as you feel pain when you harm the people you love.
Empathy. She's talking about real empathy, where the pain of others hurts you more than your own pain.
Right. So it's blatantly obvious.
Yeah, Misaki doing more of her narration, which again has been a hallmark of this entire arc. Which is very interesting when we come to the revelation as to whose arc this actually is.
Well, we know
it needed to be shared. Yeah, this is a key, one of the first of the many key moments in 5051 for Kieran, and we don't even see it, where hearing those words from someone she is intimately connected to as Sarah, who knows her as intimately as Sarah now does, is a huge thing for Kieran. I just like see it like this. I mean, bear in mind, Kieran is doing exactly what CJ does for her right now. Sorry, Sarah's for Kieran. Sarah's doing what CJ does. Like, it's joked about a little bit, but it's very true that, you know, what CJ and her's love language. One major element of it is that he just holds her and tells her it's gonna be okay. He reassures her. He affirms her that she can find love, that she is loved, that she can be better, that she is doing better. And that's a huge element. And the fact Sarah's now doing this for her is also a big deal. I do wonder if Sarah did basically this in less direct ways when they lived together. I love you for who you are, not who. And the implication there.
I'm so glad we got this nice, touching scene before Sarah dies. God, so.
Shut up. So help me God, I'll kill you.
You better have played this chapter. Otherwise, you're gonna be like, what?
What do you mean? Kieran wakes up on not the plane. Well, it's the plane, but in the spiritual So we are in the spirit world now, guys.
The
just so we're
spiritual
clear.
plane that we're all metaphorically riding on.
Yep, correct. Well, not metaphorically,
Oh my
metaphysically.
god, we're about to metaphorically hit that tower.
There is. Shut up, dude. We're not doing more 9/11 jokes.
No, we can.
McKieran is pithy as ever with her reception to the event.
Yeah.
And she's quick on the uptake. If only. You're doing it again, aren't you? You can't help yourself. That's what I loved about you. Speaking to Kieran as if she's Koryarek, which is not the first time, but much more impactfully.
Who is talking? Wait. Who's
It's the
talking
goddesses.
here?
This
No,
is the goddesses.
Which one is talking here?
Which one? I believe it's Carpo. It's Carpo, as we catch a flash of Leia just a second from now. Go forward. And then right here. See? Carpo. Because remember, Carpo and Crow apparently had a bit of history.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is the goddesses interceding.
Do we have a full render of Carpo like that somewhere? That's not
Yes,
shadow.
I believe CJ has. Sorry, I believe it's one of CJ scenes that we see her like that. Yeah, in the end of Leia's arc, she has a shot. Not necessarily in those clothes, I think. I think those might be Leia's clothes actually.
Why does that? Maybe it's just been a lot that's seen her. That just looks way different.
Probably because it has been a while.
Because that's her
Yes,
full
they're
goddess
obviously
form,
talking.
because that's
The
not like
goddesses.
Leia Carpo either.
No, well, it is briefly.
That's yeah, because then that's just yeah. I'm wondering if that's why it just looks so different.
It probably is. And this is Carpo talking like again. Are you such a debase? Again, she's referring to her as Koryarek. Cannot be allowed to succeed. Or is there something else? Do you have another trick up your sleeve? And there's Vic as Kione. Kione, you are our betrayer. You
Okay.
are that which cuts our minds.
Okay.
I'll stop.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but that shows you just the depth of Kione's hatred for Crow. Even when she's asking her for her help, she still just shit talks her infinitely. And this is Also, I am the one responsible, yet I did not know. That is such a fascinating line.
That's literally her character summed up. Holy shit. I am responsible. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah. He was required for the weave to have this pattern, but no more. He will undo all of my work. But that first line is really important. Like,
What, he was required?
No, go back to one of her first lines. After I'm responsible, I made this. Okay, then I am the one responsible, yet I did not know. He was required for the weave to have this pattern, but no more. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a classic example of her weakness as the way she wields her power, which is not her fault per se. Yeah, here we go. But these are this proves this statement from Tsukiko that these aren't the goddesses outside reality per se. These are the shards that she's holding, speaking right now. Which is why we saw Teresa and everyone else's outlines when they were speaking. They're speaking through their shards. What could he know? They fear so much. Oh boy. So Tsukiko does not know all. You question too much, you presume too much, you lack the knowledge.
Right. Which again, I know that we talked about this in our own time, but like how Tsukiko acts in this entire 2 chapters really, I don't know, gives me a bit more faith in her going forward. I didn't really think
because she's far more human.
Right,
she behaves.
That was my whole. Yeah, that was my whole point with like talking about Hayato, how well he was written, because Tsukiko had a couple moments where it just seemed like she knew everything a little bit too much. Maybe that was on purpose, I don't know. But like, I was always like, man, it just feels like Tsukiko's always going to be fucking like emotionless and never fucking
No,
give
we've
us
seen. I think
anything.
we've seen a slow, steady improvement as she
I know
becomes
that's
more.
that's my point, especially in this chapter. Especially in this chapter.
I think that's partially just experience, like just time and experience, because she was newborn when we first met her. Like she did not exist one moment, and then she did the next.
Time is a
And
circle.
then after that, the other big factor is I think she's becoming more complete as she gets more goddess pieces. Because think about it, she's carrying these pieces of beings that have lived for eons upon eons upon eons, and that's going to affect her on some level. But yes, the goddess is pressuring it very hard to just kill him, just be done with it. But also again iterating. You are not a monster. You would never, I don't hold it down against you. You know what is right deep down, buried away. I mean, and the thing is, technically, Kieran succeeds in what they ask her to do, just not necessarily in the way that we assume the goddesses want her to do it.
Right.
Because we assume that they're asking her to just like
My
get rid of him.
apologies. I'm so fucking badass that everybody's upset with me. Hold on.
He can't help but make an entrance.
I know.
Like he just literally cannot help himself.
It runs in the family.
It's true. Jump scare or sneaky arrivals like that are kind of a hallmark. But yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for having clothes on.
The plunge begins. But this is an interesting sequence. This is the Fae, who we assume to be the Fae, who made up either Crow Yarek or Sarah, sacrificing themselves to empower her. I strongly suspect these are Sarah's.
It has to be, because Crow would not talk to Kieran like this.
Well, bear in mind that if these are fragment remnants of the Fae spirits, as far as they're concerned, Kieran is Crow.
Right. Well,
they don't tell the difference. And the thing is that the words are basically interchangeable. It could be Sarah, it could be Crow that they're talking to. I suspect with this little sequence that it is Sarah, and it's her, and it's the remnants of her sisters, as what she believes to be her sisters.
Yeah, because it does sound like them too.
Yeah,
from what we hear them talk later. Well, no, because we hear them talk later as well.
Yeah.
Ah, big man himself.
A little flashback to Kay and Grandfather, when Grandfather was a better man, it seems.
We're gonna get a prequel, and it's just gonna be Grandpa and Kay.
Grandpa and Kay fuck the world in every sense.
There we go. Yeah. You know what's so funny about this is like Grandpa makes a note later. He's like, "Yeah, I don't really control where you end up on my time stream. My bad." I don't believe that at all, and this is 100% intentional to make Kieran be like, "Oh, look, he's a good guy. He cares about his customers, and definitely isn't going to get shot in the back of the head." No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. We won't. I won't bring real life into this. Guys, we care about our customers. We gotta get them everything we need. Dead.
Relax a little. But this is the most human we see him behaving, is when he's with Kay.
Again, I'm just pointing this out. This is where she ends up being. This nice moment. Right? See, I do apologize.
Oh, I'm sure there's a level of manipulation to it, even if it's not even necessarily conscious on his part. But, it doesn't really matter. Whichever you prefer. It's amazing how in line with each other they are, even if they're... And the more angry they get, the more in line. Alright, both of you then. And Kay intercedes. Because of course she can. Misaki's there.
Mm-hmm.
Our children are in danger because of you. We need to stop. Okay. Let's see, Grandfather, well, yeah. There you go. Through her ring, your ring.
Breaking through the fucking veil a little bit.
Yeah. More. Yeah, he probably doesn't know how much she knows, does he? So. And she makes an appeal to him. She tries.
You know you're wrong, so stop. And then he goes, I don't think I do.
He doesn't address her point. He just talks about how I could have been much worse, but I didn't. See, look how much of a hero I am. It's like, oh, Hayato, you fucking idiot. He can't stop being himself.
Did you think those were stars?
That's such a good line. It still is.
Yes, it is. I also love the music.
It's his tune, and it fits him so well. My own little sanctum. Here we are in Grandfather. We haven't been back here since Jamie's arc. And this is where Grandfather really starts to make his play. He buttons them up by saying, "Oh, you've done so well. But now it's all in jeopardy. I need you to do what I tell you so you fix it." It's manipulation 101. Like, he's an excellent manipulator. He's probably not even conscious of what he's doing.
I mean, if you've been doing it for so long, I assume it just happens naturally. Mr. Therapist.
I'm sorry, I can't help it sometimes.
Oh, look at you caring without a thought.
Who, me or Misaki?
That could honestly go for both of you, to be honest, but I was referring to you when I said that.
And Misaki calls out Grandfather exactly. And then Grandfather does, he agrees. Of course, he seems so reasonable in this sequence. But the thing is that even if I don't necessarily believe that he really believes that.
What, that he messed up twice?
Look at the language he uses. He admits that he made a mistake, but then a line or two later, I was given the chance to finally understand. It's basically tacitly saying, yeah, I fucked up, but only because I didn't know stuff. So it's not really my fault.
I want you to save the world, Musa.
Yeah, girls in perfect alignment.
Have you noticed? Those aren't stars. No.
Stop it. You're addicted. You need help.
But it's so good.
It is such a good line. Okay, I get it. I do. But we need to focus. We're bogging down again. There's only one soul in that body. One soul and one parasite. He really hates Kroyarik because she did outdo him without even trying.
Yeah. I mean, she
played him multiple times.
Okay, look, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I can't really blame Crow because she didn't do anything, like, at all.
No, she didn't.
She did nothing except towards the end.
No. Technically, all she did was make him aware of what was already in place. And going by Orkso's logic, it would have been anything could have done that. Like, could have been anything that led to that. He would have realized eventually just by not aging.
For some reason, I had become an immortal man. That would have been. I feel like his tune would have fucking been different.
Quite likely. And here he. What? So in sync here. Yes, this is where he says it like the first bomb he drops.
Which, again, the whole thing with Kieran and Crow being, like, obviously it's a bit more complicated, but I mean, at this point, it's not that much of a surprise to those of us that pay attention that, yeah, they're pretty...
I mean, the key thing is that for a long time, I and others agreed with me was that Kieran is a Crow shard, but what we didn't factor in was that the reverse is also potentially true.
Right, well, because, I mean, it's a whole lot, at least it seems like, it's not the same as, like, because when you say Crow shard, right, before this chapter, the basis of shard is what we have with the goddesses, where, like, there's a whole of the goddesses, and then there's these little itty-bitty bits of the goddesses, right? And that's what we assumed we were talking about. Like, there's the majority of Crow, and then there's just little itty-bitty Kieran, you know? And we know that's not the case. It's much bigger than just itty-bitty.
Yeah. It's more like being split between, like, 4/5 is 2 of the 4/5 to each to Sarah. Well, actually, more like 3/5 to Crow, 1/5 to Sarah, 1/5 to Kieran. Really, like, Sarah is not actually that powerful, comparatively speaking.
No, she's not.
You're the only thing keeping that monster in check. Again, really true. Truer than even he realizes with that statement. Your connection to him will be her fall and our salvation. Referring to what he plans to do with Masaki.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tsukiko catches up with everybody else. But interesting, she's here as Anya, not as Sarah. Which makes sense, she's in her full Fae form here. Oh, what strings to pull when you see them? Oh, CJ.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, CJ.
Oh, my boy.
Quite the contrary. I counted on it.
Damn it, this
God,
fucking
he's so
guy.
fucking smug, isn't he? Like, he's so
God,
fucking smug.
This is why I hate Bubba right here.
Okay, alright. You had to bring it up, didn't you? You had to. We love you, Bubba, and he does too.
This right here is why I hate Bubba, because he acts like this. On the contrary, I counted it. Fucking...
God, dude.
Oh my
There's
god.
a fun detail about my realm that you'll soon appreciate, but thank you for your presence.
Such a
Child,
fucking...
we'll talk later.
Well, such a great, well-written character.
He is superbly well written. You'd love to hate him, but at the same time, you also can't help but
The best
almost.
villains are the ones you love to hate. And let's be real,
Yeah.
Grandpa's not even the real villain.
No. He's
It
a
was
side
us
character.
all along.
Really...
No, I'm just kidding. He's been around for the majority of the story. Is he really? I mean, like,
he's only the major antagonist for one arc, and then he appears here. Everything else is incidental. Well, mostly.
Well, I mean, other than Leah's arc, other than Leah and Vic's arc, he's in everybody else's.
Yeah, but only in flashback or retrospect.
Well, okay. I mean, yes, you're right, but I mean, the majority of Teresa's arc doesn't happen without him. That's and then he's in this one as well. I mean, here's a question we haven't talked about at all. Do we think Grandpa's showing up again after this arc?
Oh, I'm pretty sure that he's going to show up in some way.
Because he's
not going to stop. Yeah. He can't. He's gone too far, especially with Kay's death. Like, Kay's death may even push him into full-blown villainy where he
that's
just
what
out for
I
revenge.
thought too. I thought about that when it happened. I thought there's no way, especially after CJ, because we assume CJ's not going to do what Grandpa wants at the end.
No, he doesn't. Like, it's pretty.
I definitely think Jamie's and Kieran are gonna make sure that doesn't happen, talk him out of it, whatever. Because I mean, if they weren't there, I think he would have gone along with it.
I mean, it's worth noting that it's very. If you really take a step back and look at it, this is very clearly all following Hayato's plan from the moment this triggers on the plane. He hits CJ with blow after blow after blow, psychologically and emotionally, to unbalance him and push him to where he wants him to be. Yes, this is where we take him on a little journey. This is possibly actually a flashback to his first encounter with Kione. Like, I think this is him popping to different points along his timeline. Or memories, I should say. Did you know she hid another amongst her trove, referring to Crow's remnant memories that she took that were taken from Kione? Cedric's just like, I don't give a fuck. I just want to get on with beating your ass. And he's right. Let me hit the punchline before you start judging me. This isn't a memory. Bonk. Twist. Fooled you. This is the part of Sukiya. This is where she speaks poison, my star. Wow, and I wonder who else refers to CJ as her star. And this is but this is bipping between the goddess pieces that Tsukiko is holding on to.
Well, because he's trying to get to where he gets to eventually at the end of this.
Indeed, he does. Yes.
It's so fucking funny because we haven't even mentioned it yet.
No, when we get there, don't worry.
Yeah.
But I love, I mean, I say I loathe and love how Grandfather is indirectly taking responsibility for their victories. Yes, you did all these things because of me.
I mean, look, it like he takes the joke. It was all Crow's fault, like down to like an actual like he's not kidding.
Yeah.
Because if we're blaming Crow for everything, we can say everything is also Grandpa's fault too for the majority of everything that happens ever. Because
Yeah.
but he's no, but he's like no, but it is my fault because I was right.
Yep. He can't help but push that fact. He can't help himself. A victory that wouldn't happen without my intervention.
Which I was about
Sarah?
to say
Question
Sarah's
mark?
intervention. I don't remember.
It wasn't though. It was
No,
Crow's.
it was Crow's.
And oh no.
Even if I had to catch things at the end, yeah, she didn't do anything.
One of the many signs.
Dude. She even says even if I had to catch things in the end, meaning probably referring. I mean, it's got to be referring to whenever Crow used Ashley to catch quote unquote Leah and CJ, right? That's got to be what that means.
Yep.
And nobody fucking pays attention.
Do you really think it's a coincidence? Go back. Do you really think it's a coincidence that the natural colors of Anya's power is the same color as Hebe's, more or less?
I feel like that's not.
You'll see what I mean as we go further.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, I guess.
There seems to be some connection.
I guess you're right with the blue. No, I guess you're right with the blue.
And this is so. Look at. Okay, so Carpo here is actually the one who hits by far the hardest because she's not directly. She doesn't do what the others do directly. He assumes and he assumes and he plots and he weaves conspiracies. A spider in silk.
I always assumed Hebe's colors were blue and green because originally it was green and she took on the blue after fucking OG died.
Quite possibly. I
don't
think
know.
That's quite possible.
I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. I only
we
say
don't
that
know enough.
because we see the colors also in the prologue, so it very well.
We don't know enough. We don't know enough. That's what it boils down to. But yeah, she's the crazy side of Carpo is obviously pissed, but the more sane side is a little bit more insightful.
Right. I mean, normal Carpo conversation.
Average Carpo moment.
For real.
But the thing is, this could 100% be Leia saying this.
Of course, I mean, at this point, like, again, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, I don't think Leah and Carpo need that much more wrap-up, other than total healing of the goddesses, of course, but, like, they're pretty much
I think maybe
page.
the more unstable half of will probably be what you grapple with. Or maybe it's going to be similar to this arc spin, where it's more of a general...
Honestly, I don't think... Like, I know this can sound fucking crazy. I don't think Leah's, or Carpo, whichever one's talking here, I don't think her position of, like, I'd rather fucking, like, because if Grandpa's plan wins, CJ will be gone, and she's like, okay, I'd rather just fucking destroy the world than let you win. Like, at that point. Like, you're just gonna kill what I want anyway, might as well fucking end it for you too. Right?
Right.
Which is hilarious, because he knows that might legitimately happen as well.
Much better. The only one of these I'd even consider visiting by choice. But do not be fooled. In danger of knowing all truths, but not being told or given the ability to know why things happen. And this is actually one of the few moments where he is absolutely right.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's impossible to be wrong here.
Yeah. Unfortunate hiccup of my former employee. Yes, the man you brought into this I nearly fucked everything up with.
Right. It's so funny how Sarah acts here, because...
I mean, it's almost like she wants to believe it.
Yeah.
See, what's your point? My point? That absolutely none of this is what it seems. There we go. This is where we start to see just a bit of how cracked Luxo is, despite appearing the most sane.
This is literally like this sentence sums up her entire arc. Totally. You dare to question the solution I found because of my methods? Her methods being destroying trillions of souls to fucking...
And more pertinently to this question, what she does, she was involved in the creation of CJ, which necessitated everything that happened to Jacob and Cameron, and yeah. You who murdered in your own home for a greater good you had no faith in. Ugh.
Oh,
cutting truth. Absolutely. Again, she's also completely true in this line. Mistakes
have happened, guys. It was just a mistake.
But the thing is, mistakes to a goddess, like you've got to understand the mentality at play here. Right? They are not humans. Yeah, there is a strong element of perspective here. To us, it's still catastrophic and wrong and evil that what she did. Like a lot of what was. But then she says, "I will not allow their sacrifices to be in vain." So in a sense, she still is trying to bat for it. But okay, here we are. All right,
here we are.
Okay. Brace yourselves. So you have been here. Yes, we haven't seen this place properly since very early on, since Jamie's arc.
We don't know. And Grandpa's like, I don't even know what this place is or why it's here. I do know it's yours.
Yeah, my personal theory is that this is Jacob's place.
Right, because this is where we've seen we've seen Jacob in here multiple times with like how the lighting is with it being like this.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because that's why we couldn't see his face before and stuff and whatnot.
Correct. My speculation is that this is Jacob's soul plane, basically, or a connection, or the place where he's connected to Jacob, where CJ is connected to Jacob. That's my guess.
But you are an imitation of something worthy, perhaps. Yep, but yet there is an imitation of an imitation here.
This is also implies where this is where Skydad has been all along.
Right.
Where he was probably even created.
Well, yeah, because it seemed like Skydad was always, like, honestly, one of my questions I want to ask Anon, because it seems like, spoiler alert, he's no longer probably going to show up again. I want to know if, like, CJ talked to Skydad at all past the 2 times that we saw him talk to him.
No. He didn't.
No? Okay, well, thank you, Anon. I appreciate that.
No problem. I asked him this question. I'm sorry.
Oh, did you?
I was ahead of you. Yeah, that's something I asked him. He, as far as Anon was basically not direct about it, but he was basically like, no, not really. Which makes sense when you think about it, about what he likes. Well, we learn what Skydad did.
Yeah, especially because of how. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense, knowing everything we did know, but like, it just seems like CJ was ignoring him. But it's because I feel like he knew on the inside.
There you are. You didn't, and he said you didn't know, did you? I think, yeah, Grandpa didn't realize that CJ didn't know and how ignorant he actually was.
I do like to point out that it is actually just straight up Mizzy here.
Yeah, that's because I think in this place they are much more themselves, which is another element that makes me think this is linked to Jacob. With his,
I do find this super interesting though, because she goes, I remember this place, but Tsukiko goes back in all of her memories all the time, and she just never fucking thought about.
Well, the thing is, when you lack moral context, not moral context, but like emotional context. Sorry, emotional context. What is an important memory may not necessarily be important later on, because she's very practical minded, you know?
Right. I mean, to be fair, this place means absolutely nothing if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they don't know enough about the spiritual to be able to draw direct lines about what it means.
I fucking love this. I love this. Fallout. You know, even with the abomination you've turned into, I can still see the smug look on your face when you think you're being clever.
Crow makes her first appearance, which is partly what he was aiming for, I suspect.
Your presence and line of questioning answers everything I could want from you already. And that, I suppose we should thank you. At least you're an unwitting accessory to evil.
Oh boy. Consider the next words of your mouth very carefully.
No.
You see, here we get the Fusradar music.
Right.
I expect an appearance at any moment now. Wait, I remember those. What the? Everyone is confused, and then... Wait for it. Don't worry, guys. Everything's going to be okay, because... Dad's here!
Ah, an insignificant challenger to my greatness.
This is where we start to get meta as fuck.
That's right, baby.
And everyone's just, huh? He really does look like that. Is that a fucking cartoon? Dad! CJ just doesn't question.
Fool, the power of glory itself.
Juvenile, as I Your services are no longer required. Thank you. Bang.
It's actually crazy because Hayato really isn't that strong.
In terms of direct combat, no.
No.
Bit. Innocence shattered.
Right?
Illusions broken. Now this is such an important bit. A few lines. They will take a pause at the end of these lines.
Of course.
Hold on my leash.
Talking to CJ here.
Forgive me. I did my best. Save them. Return her. No one.
Alright, stop. Once he stops
No
speaking.
one else can.
Mm-hmm. Go for
Okay.
it.
This is where we start getting into my big theory shit. Chad Thundercock is okay. I'm just gonna lay it all out, and I'll point to evidence as it pops up. Chad Thundercock, this entity, was a creation of CJ, possibly with Jacob involved as well, because of the location it takes place in. This being, as I theorize, the connection between or actually on Jacob's soul plane, and he is a child's creation of a figure of power and strength. CJ was like very young when he created Chad Thundercock, and he created him in a moment of fear and anxiety and depression. You know, he latched onto an image of something that's ridiculous, but he invested real feelings into it. So Chad Thundercock, this entity, Skydad as we nickname him in the community, was created by CJ as a explanation for the strangeness of the elements in his life, and I believe as an emotional release valve and escape mechanism for his incredibly unhealthy life as a child, with how abusive Stacy/Naomi was. But I also think that with these lines, it's revealed that Skydad was at least in some way connected to Jacob, who I'll get into Jacob's nature a bit more when it comes up later. But for now, let's just say that Jacob has a vested interest in CJ's well-being. And this is why CJ has such a juvenile but deeply emotional connection to this entity, because it represented an explanation for all the weirdness in his life, while also being like an idealization of a father figure that he desperately craved and needed. Now, we go back a little bit with his lines of, my liege. I think he's talking to CJ and Jacob when he says that. Are you hale and whole, my liege? He's like, are you all right? He's my liege. So he's an entity that is in some way aware that CJ is his liege, his creator, his maker. Maybe he doesn't draw a distinction between CJ and Jacob. Doesn't really matter, but that's what he's talking to. Now, the lines he gives about save her, I think that there are multiple meanings. Save them refers to the goddesses, and return her refers to Hebe in my theory. I think that He wants CJ to save the goddesses from the state they find themselves in, and he wants to. Part of that is returning Hebe from her isolation, her where she's been exiled to and sealed away. And I think that's going to be a lot of what Ash's arc is going to be: is going to Hebe, is finding a way to Hebe and bringing her back out of the seal without fucking everything up in the process, because apparently there's a massive corruption on the other side.
No one.
And no one else can do this. And what is the one element CJ has that, even if we call him an OG shard, right? The one thing CJ has that is unlike any other OG shard is Tsukiko. Her ability to manipulate and control structures and power, to draw boundaries and lines, to regulate power. And that means that to me is like symbolic of what's going to tie it into later. But for now, we now have the revelation of Grandfather's about to smash CJ with, and after very deliberately killing the source of CJ's few places of real emotional comfort from his childhood. Like, the very ridiculousness of Skydad was symbolic of CJ's innocence and clinging to a positive, childish role model and entity that gave him comfort in his extremity and all the difficulty and strangeness that is his life. The way he's expressed is a refuge in absurdity. We don't take Skydad seriously because he's so ridiculous, but to CJ, he is deadly serious. He's an emotional anchor in the turmoil of his life, like a child will cling to like an adult will cling to a child from their childhood as a comfort blanket. You know, to an outside observer, even if we intellectually understand the emotional connection, it still feels weird and silly and kind of stupid and childish. But it doesn't change the emotional weight behind it, you know? But yes, Grandfather now delivering the next punch to CJ's mentality. Because bear in mind, for his plan to work, he needs CJ to be breaking apart.
And of course, Masaki being like, wait, really?
But everyone is. No one understood that. They thought that he was probably talking in metaphors or whatever, but everyone's just very confused now. Yes, this is revealed that time runs slower when he wants it to. So the flight they're on is now just about to land, which removes any chance to sit down and talk things through.
Right. Dude had it all planned out. But...
yeah, he had his timing down pat. What was that? Who made it? What was it? Why? What did it mean to CJ? And like, yeah, we know things that they don't, so they're still filled with those questions. And CJ's in no emotional state to give answers. Like he's reeling right now. Trepidation, anger, and embarrassment. Yeah, absolutely understandably.
Right, because again, as much as I make a joke, CJ's not a fucking idiot. I mean, imagine being like, yeah, of course my dad had a fucking cartoon guy in the screen. What the fuck's wrong with me? You know, like
he doesn't question it, and
yeah.
there's even a good case to be made that he can't question it. If the goddess's influence on him is as real as it could be, they may be compelling him to not question such a thing. And it's only now that he's forced to confront it directly that he's starting to question it. And imagine what that would mean to yourself if you take something that's a bedrock of your emotional life and then have it thrown back in your face and shown to be ridiculous.
And I fucking love Kieran speaking for everybody here. Why did he have to bury that lead?
But it's interesting how little Kieran and Leia and Vic say. Like they're just here. They're just along. They're trying to do their thing.
Well, because I don't think because I mean technically Vic sees everything, but you weren't there for that, so
I'm sure a brief explanation was given because they're openly talking about it here. And Crow trying to intercede,
which again is one of those things where I mean it really just yeah, he just didn't think about it because it's like she literally says, "Did I know? Of course I did. I just don't question things that you make, right?
Yeah, the plans and decisions you make. Because as far as she's concerned, which to me is the
You
proof
made
in the
that for a
pudding that
reason.
CJ, in some sense, was responsible for making Skydead. That for me is the proof of the pudding, with
Yeah.
Crow knowing that and saying that.
Very interesting, though. Very, very interesting.
Well, it was probably an unconscious creation of a
No,
child
of
in
course it
emotional
was.
extremis.
Yeah, of course it was. I mean, because because this gets talked about a little bit later on, because CJ was definitely not born properly, and what I mean by that is he was probably born like, what I mean is he was not born a baby, he was born a kid, from what we
Yeah.
can tell. So, yeah, it just it makes 100% sense.
I mean,
that-
it's worth pointing out that CJ, the first time we see CJ as a conscious being, he emerges at the same age that Jacob died.
Yes.
So
Because I mean that was stated way back. It was like, yeah, she just showed up with a kid out of
Right.
nowhere. That there's no way she was gone for 2 years and showed up with like a 5-year-old. You know?
Exactly. So that just to me just adds to like he was his likely early career. He was likely accelerated in his creation, at least a bit, maybe, possibly. But the CJ's now just like he seems in control, but he's really not. He just wants to. He's just blindly pushing forward out of fear and anger and rage, and not engaging with it at all, not trying to process it.
Yeah.
Leia comes
Okay,
across as a bit of a cold bitch. but she's
Okay,
still
okay,
very
Mother's Day
good.
champion, fuck off. Like, Jesus Christ.
Even Teresa's like, oh no, this is bad.
It's bad, and it's only gonna get worse. That boulder has been left to tumble down the hill.
The spiral is in motion.
DJ's real name is Sisyphus.
And Jamie doesn't take her eyes off of CJ. She's just like,
Of course.
doesn't take her off. And Kieran's brooding, as you'd expect. She's like,
And
what
then
the fuck is going on?
Misaki floating
Outside the window, which I just love. Like, this mental image of her floating along outside the car as it goes at like fucking
Which is
90
even
miles an
funnier
hour.
from Kieran's perspective now because she can actually see
You
her.
can see her, yeah. And look in the window. Oh my, oh ho,
Oh my god, it's almost as if it was all there all along.
all along. Yes, but that was Crow's reflection with Sarah in the window there. Again, another part
What's
of the
so
whole.
fun to me about the whole thing that we're about to reveal with Crow being Sarah and Sarah being Crow is that with all the information we were given beforehand, any scene that would show her like in Crow's uniform, right? Like it wasn't like some big spoiler because it was implied that they were sisters and shit like that. So like, yeah, there's a huge connection there. It's just not the connection that you think it is.
I mean, it is and it isn't. It's more, is what it is.
Yeah, it's more. It's not nearly as severe as we think it is. Even though
I mean, Crow talks about in 44 when her and Sarah have that moment in front of Orxo. Crow talks about how they are the left and the right hand, right? They are two parts of the same being of the two parts, and the reason that Crow was never able to function and get it right was because she didn't have Sarah, and that's so fucking true because Sarah was her in a sense from even before that point. Like it's just, oh my god,
it's actually fucking nuts.
right? Like the levels of the sheer layers of secondary, tertiary meaning Anon puts into the dialogue and events in this story in this game is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, Jamie's trying to rein in CJ here.
Right. I mean, again, I don't feel like this is a crazy ass question. Why was your dad a cartoon? And then Kieran being a realist, like it looks like it was made in MS Paint. Did you see that way before?
Yes, Kieran asking some of these questions, but
Right.
Sarah knowing that CJ is not equipped to deal with them right now. He's just
Right. And I mean, again, so, you know, Karen being like the most realistic, like, okay, so you're the smartest person here. You didn't fucking think that was weird. Like, I get, like, I see both perspectives here, obviously pretty clearly. It's like, yeah, why would you not think that's weird? But also, it's like, we've seen some pretty weird shit at this point.
also consider how early on Jamie sees this.
Yeah, and
Like-
again, Tsukiko's even like, oh yeah, I remember this now. You know, like it's
Jamie was brand new to this whole spiritual stuff
mhm.
when she saw Skydad. Like, so she has no context for understanding how silly it was. She's trying to bring them back, and this is CJ really starting to fall apart now. He doesn't know. He doesn't like just
Especially
repeats, like,
if what you said earlier was true. It's like the goddesses are like forcing him to, like, you know, believe what he was believing. Like,
or maybe that belief was
he's
programmed
literally
in from him,
unable
like-
to comprehend what the
yeah,
fuck.
like if you consider, okay, so even if we consider that the goddesses aren't actively suppressing his mind or messing with it actively, if we consider that they just set the parameters of his mind when he was created, right?
Mhm.
If you consider that to be the way it was, then there's basically like having an instruction in your head that is now directly been opposed and conflicted with, that he can't just push to one side.
Right.
And it's like having a foundational element of your life thrown completely out of whack. But he's just charging forward now to get away from that moment as much as anything else. And yes, Kieran sees Tetsuko. And here we see the Angie Crow stand. Dump truck. Dump truck. But yes, just drawing them into the last bits of the trap. And Misaki trying to reach Kieran, but Kieran is just too far gone with rage at this point. She's found a target to go after, and she's locked on, and then boom!
Yeah, and
Even Crow's like, "Oh shit!"
and then immediately this right here was probably, I don't know if it was my favorite bit from the entire chapters, but this bit right here totally just
It
sunk
nailed
in
home
for
that
me.
even Crow is panicking.
Yeah, like
Crow right
like,
here.
like
We have not seen
please,
her this
listen
panic
to
since
me.
Pione's arc.
Like turn around, just don't go forward. I will do anything, please. Don't. It doesn't matter,
She's
right?
in tears. Like, she's literally in tears. There's tears in her eyes here. She is begging him, do not go this way. You can't lose control. Not here. Not now. Like, it's
Right.
it's worth noting that what happens in 51 isn't Crow's plan all along. It's her last resort. It's
Yes, I
her.
mean, she says
There
that
is
too. As
everything is
well.
fucked. This is the only way to salvage something. Plan. And Kieran is just, and then here the music. Bear in mind, we have had very little music overall, comparatively. Like, it's been quite silent for a while, and a lot. And then, bang, bang. Minds were blown at this moment.
Right.
Cameron on the left, Jacob in the middle, and Rebecca on the right.
Your dad would be so proud of you now.
And then we get flashbacks to the dream world, which we learn later was actually made by CJ.
It's okay. You don't have to be here if you don't want to.
Dream world from 44.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for pretending for me. Are you happy? If I just wait long enough, I'll see him again.
All just emotional gut punch after emotional gut punch. Then we see Sarah shutting down.
She doesn't.
And his name changes from CJ to Jacob.
She
And this is Crow Yarek's real form.
she doesn't.
Hello, Crow.
Darling. She looks like me.
Bang. Sarah and
Bang.
Crow in there. Yep. 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 And this really just brings home even lines like how he says to Sarah after the touch scene, when I think of my chalice of desires, I don't think of Crow, I think of you. And it's like, my brother in Christ, you were thinking of her. It's just, there are so many layers to this.
It really was Crow all along.
It really was Crow all along. Oh my god.
What a
So
fucking...
this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the key moment of revelation of the fact that Crow Yarek is Sarah, Sarah is Crow Yarek, Kieran is Crow Yarek, Kieran is Sarah, and they're all the same entity. There's, in simple terms, as simple as I can make it, they are a similar situation to how Mizzy and Mizzy and Jamie are in terms of Tsukiko. They are two selves, one soul. In this case, three selves, one soul. With Crow Yarek here on the right being the Crow who has suffered through all the time between OG's death and the now, who has changed as a result of the trauma and the agony and the loneliness and the fact that she lost half of herself, when Sarah, who is basically like an imprint of what Crow was like, sort of, in terms of all the best positive aspects of how her idealized self was. And then Kieran comes in as a combination of these two elements, which is probably, in a sense, closest to how Crow was in the past. Probably, maybe. We obviously can't know for certain without seeing it.
Especially with how she looks in the prologue, it's a little confusing. But
well, the prologue I have the prologue I have an explanation for. That was CJ seeing them having that dream, and that dream is probably filtered through his perception of the current spiritual entities. Crow appeared as she did in the Crowlog because that was how Crow currently existed.
Right,
and spiritually speaking, that was symbolic.
Right, but then Kieran showed, like, whenever she summons her later, she looks the same. So I don't know. It's a little, I don't know. It's not very clear, at least in my mind.
Well, bear in mind that spiritual forms, how you see a spiritual form, how it appears to you on the other side, is down to your perception of that person and the power levels involved.
Correct, and I agree. But Kieran should have no knowledge of that.
Yeah, but the thing is, we're seeing
CJ's perspective.
Yeah,
but,
it's.
But CJ's not there whenever she summons her. Is my point.
No, indeed. But I think that might be just a bit of a shortcut, just so we still understand in vague sense of what's going on.
Yeah, like I'm totally accepting like that's just how she looked back then. I'm fine with that answer. I just.
Well, bear in mind that they've even talked about how Sarah has changed her form to have fun in CJ's pocket world. In many senses, like the physical form almost doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but not as much as we would ordinarily think. Physical form, how things appear, is less important in terms of the other side of spiritual than you might imagine, while at the same time being immensely important because of how symbolism works. I know it's contradictory. Welcome to the other side. It has the rules do not apply when they do apply, but they don't.
To the other side.
Yeah. But yes, this is the really heavy wham moment where it's just bang, everything's going to come out now. And Sarah's the empty-eyed because, most of herself has retreated from things.
From the very beginning. I didn't want you to find out this way. Darling. She is me. She always was. From the very beginning.
And CJ just has just falls apart.
I love you. I love you. I I've always loved you. I saw it. I remembered.
That's what made Crow scream. She remembered her true face because she literally saw it staring back at her.
When we defeated Kione, I remembered
Oh, my
when we
bad. I
defeated
forgot.
Kione, I remembered my true face. And when we defeated Carpo and Oxo, I remembered. When you left us so long ago, my love for you was so great that you took half of me with you.
So yes, this is going
Yep.
to tie into a lot of the revelations we get in 51. Basically, I'm going to try and keep a short version. When Old Glory shattered, died, Crow's connection to him was so intense, her love for him so close, that half of her broke away to go with him, even unintentionally. Okay? So that half of her is part of the reason Crow, as we know her, the other, like the Crow as we know her, big titty Crow, whatever you want to call it, she was so damaged and unpredictable and did so many fucked up things, in part because half of her was missing right from that moment. And the reason Sarah didn't emerge until now is tied into Jacob's emergence and his role in things and Rebecca's existence. The very simplified short version, because I will get into this much more in 51, is that Rebecca is Sarah and Sarah is Rebecca, or a part thereof, which was drawn to the emergence of Jacob / CJ, which in turn was because Cameron has all 4 rings and was the first to do so. So think of it in terms of she was attached to the core of OG and only re-emerged when that part of him came back into being. I will explain in much more detail as we go forward. So much more detail. But yes, everyone's having their own flavor of trauma. Even Kieran's falling apart at the power madness going on.
Mhm.
But you get it? She is me. I could absorb her again in an instant. But I didn't. I didn't because you love her. No.
You could have got to imagine the sheer emotional damage this has done to and is doing to Crow. The
Right.
fact that
And
Sarah
then
is
she
her
brings up
as
such
she
a
was.
really good point too. Like
Yeah.
right here.
Well, it's even this is even more twisted when you realize that one of the main things that CJ demonstrates is that his big things with the other girls is that no matter how fucked up or messed up you are, he will accept you, even the fucked up monstrous parts. Like Leia out openly says, if I am to be a monster, I was always a monster. The fact that word is used again here just twists the knife into Crow even deeper. That you can accept Leia and Vic's monstrous sides. Why can't you accept mine?
Right.
In fact, you're actively condemning it.
And then she even says she's talking to Sarah. She does the exact same thing I do. The exact same thing. I mean, she literally says it, but you love her for it.
Yeah, because Sarah is Crow as she was in a very real sense. Not necessarily 100%, but a very real sense.
Why?
See, like, why?
Everything I've done for the exact same reason she has. I've just lived and suffered so much more.
I'm thinking that voice option does not affect hers because I swear to God, she's not getting louder.
Anything for you. Anything.
Fine.
Just like I would. You love her for it, but you hate me for doing the same.
And
Every decision,
Crow's so
every
right.
crossroads I've ever walked,
I mean, yeah.
we would have taken the same turns. You think I'm a monster for always choosing you over anything else. But so does she. She always has.
Crow dragging a really uncomfortable truth into the open here, like an ugly truth.
Everything I was. Everything you loved.
The hypocrisy of condemning someone for something that you love in someone else. Who is literally the same person.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Although it is worth
Think about
mentioning,
you.
CJ
Millennia after
says
millennia.
he doesn't hate Crow. Like, he says it openly. I don't hate you, Crow. Although it feels the same way because he doesn't actively love her, so it's kind of, you know.
Right.
Did I change? Was my true nature just revealed?
It's Crow here revealing that she feels guilty for it. Like, she doesn't even fully blame CJ for it. She blames herself. Like, how fucked up is that?
I want to be her. I want to be yours, Sarah.
And here we get Grandpa, of course, explaining everything for those that.
Well,
need a
through
little
his
bit more.
perception, but
Yeah,
yes.
right. With that being, Cameron Roberts was the original. The Four created the storm to ascend him. He stopped that,
Yeah.
which
They tried.
we don't
Well,
know
to
how he did
ascend,
that. But
yeah. But he didn't understand what he was doing, as is ever the case.
Wait, so hold on.
I want.
Is Cameron? Because I'm trying to remember. Because I suck with names. Cameron Roberts.
Cameron Roberts was the original. Mr. Black Mr. Black Bandana.
Yeah. So. But then he says the Four created the storm to ascend him,
Yeah, because he was the first four-ring.
and then Grandpa stopped it, and we don't know why, right? Or no, we know
Well,
why.
he stopped
or
it
how.
because he stopped
We
it
know
because
why.
it would have
And
logically
how.
resulted in the world being destroyed.
Right.
The
But
goddesses
how?
would have emerged through,
Do we
and
know
when they
how?
yanked him through, odds are the other side would have spilled in and killed everything.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause why would they care about one world when their love is right there?
Yeah.
He could just
no,
remake it.
Of course. But did we don't get an explanation for how he stopped it, right?
No, we don't. We don't know exactly how he did it. Other than it was a big series of rituals, maybe some kind of giant
Yeah, because he
ceiling
didn't
thing.
kill. Because I was like, because it would towards the beginning, whenever it said he stopped it. If you thought, because one of my original theories was, of course, I had no idea who or what, but back when we were trying to connect the dots about like the storm, which only vaguely got mentioned a couple times and never got any explanation.
Not
other
real
than-
depth. No.
Yeah, but the thing that really hit it for me was like, so he made it so the four. Like, so if we had no explanation for CJ's parents other than Sky Dad, it would have been a whole different conversation, because I would have been like, well, clearly whoever CJ's parents was the same thing as the other four, with them being sent down a generation, right, to become the next shards, which is what he says he does here. So we had no way to know that what was going on with CJ's stuff, but I swore, I was like, it only makes sense for them to have been another CJ if he made the storm go away and he made the other shards.
Yeah, no,
descend.
you were right about that.
Yeah. Super happy. But he doesn't kill
His son,
my
Jacob,
point to bring that
will
up
be
is he
next.
doesn't kill Cameron. He stops whatever it is, and then the goddess is like, "Hey."
Well, he
let's
was doing
fucking
it
kill him.
blindly. Like, the best we can tell is that Cameron was probably summoned to that point in time as part of the ascension process, and then but he didn't directly encounter Grandfather, who was fighting the goddesses rather than looking for looking for Cameron. But yes, he
Yeah, he
didn't
didn't even
anticipate
find
that
them
Jacob would inherit the
Before
rings.
before they died.
Yeah. That he did not anticipate. Except it didn't matter, they died anyway. A nearly perfect replica. The causality required to make you the unfortunate soul standing before me was unfathomable. But they twisted reality itself to create you. To undo their loss. Because, yeah, basically, the moment they lost Cameron, they twisted reality to undo it. And made him in the process. Now, Greg, I suspect he is mostly right with this line. You are an imagined being only sustained by the power of these four. But I think there is more going on than he knows.
Yeah,
I think he's making some assumptions here.
like I feel like because his whole thing makes it seem like CJ legitimately doesn't exist. Like as if the four, like even if one of the four stopped believing in him for a moment, that he would just fucking
Yeah.
vanish.
Which
I don't
should be
think
pointed out absolutely serves his goal here of wanting CJ to sacrifice himself.
Right, but I don't think that's the case.
No, I agree. I think that's either an assumption on his part or he is deliberately oversimplifying to push his
Right.
agenda.
Because he still is physical, and he
He has his own soul. He exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
we
twisted
know
reality
that.
to make him, but that doesn't mean that they twist reality to keep him.
Right, but he said, yeah. I don't think. I swear to God, he's either lying or he doesn't know. Because there's no, or maybe we're genuinely wrong. I mean, but the second.
I mean,
any of them are interrupted or
this
lose
is a new
focus-
revelation. There's plenty more that could be put into explaining this.
You.
Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. If he has a physical body, he has a soul. There's no reason why. I mean, he is a copy for sure. He should not exist. But now that he exists, I feel like, because
I mean, it's worth noting that he compares it to Mizzy not existing, right? But the thing is, there is an inherent difference there. He removed Mizzy from existence,
oh, I no.
whereas CJ is an
well,
addition.
you know what? Hold
to
on.
existence.
He may actually be legitimate because I mean, if it's the reverse of Mizzy just appeared out of nowhere. I mean,
Right.
but
But she always existed. It's
Yes,
just that he
yes.
prevented it.
So we're just doing the opposite. CJ never existed, so it just reverts it back to what it normally was. He
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
The
So I guess
dream
that would
world,
be-
which it should turn is likely the dream world that CJ creates in 44, which is the world where he isn't who he is. He is, as it turns out, most likely Jacob.
You have interfered for the last time. I will never forgive this.
She lied to you. They all lied to you. You're their dream husband. Although, okay, I have to say here, is there really, in practice, a difference despite the difference in motivation or intent? Like, yes, he isn't a shard in the traditional sense.
Right. I mean, and do we really? I mean, I know he's not talking about the fragments here of the shard. Like he's not talking about the shards here because obviously they didn't fucking know either, right? But
Right.
like, okay, like.
Now, if you
I
go back a
guess-
little further, it's a couple of lines back from that. Okay, you're not some special shard of a god. So that's saying that he's not a OG shard. You're their dream husband, which we know that isn't the case though, because he can
I just
create.
don't think I do think that he. I don't think Grandpa realizes the extent of CJ's ability, and he's just.
And
making
I
an
think the
assumption
other
that he
key
genuinely
element-
is just
yeah.
a copy.
I
because
think
the
the
real
other
one
key
died.
element. I think the other key element is that Grandpa is unaware of CJ's connection to Jacob and how it works and what it is. Like he knows he's a physical clone of Jacob because they took that's what Hector did. He took the biological matter and passed it through the television, through a time gate, basically, to Sonya to create CJ, right?
Mm-hmm.
I suspect that he doesn't understand that there is a spiritual link there as well, a soul link between Jacob, which is child CJ, the child CJ we've seen popping up all over the place throughout the story, and CJ as he is now. I think that's a key element that Grandfather is either unaware of or simply doesn't understand. Probably isn't aware of. But this is like classic demon on the shoulder moment. Like even the way the shot is framed. I'll tell them, look, I told you the truth. I told you everything. Just do what I tell you and you can be yourself. Do you know who he's almost perfectly echoing there? The Mara.
Yeah.
Almost a perfect... He's doing almost exactly what the Mara do as well. He's taking the truth. He's not lying per se, but he's presenting the truth in a very specific way to achieve the goal he wants to achieve.
I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that his whole fucking color scheme is mainly black with white and like
Just like the Mara? Yeah.
just like the Mara. Like it's either it's symbolism, it's just similar, whatever, or there's a genuine fucking like
I mean, maybe it's hard to say. Maybe he's maybe he becomes Mara later.
Same thing with all
because
the
remember-
half souls too. It seems like things that aren't
Right.
You know.
I mean, consider this: what if Mara is Hayato, just in a different point in his personal timeline?
It very well may be, as well as like, I mean, it could be just like Hayato doesn't know. Like, he.
I mean, consider
been
this:
stated
how
many
do the
times
Mara
to be like an
know?
abomination? Like, who fucking knows at this point? Like, Hayato became a Mara himself, like, just, you know, just a different way than
I won't let you take him. I
all
won't
the
let
other
any
ones
of you
probably
take
did.
him. I love you. I'll always love you.
And this is the line between 50-51. Touch.
Yes, it is. And it is where we're going to leave off to give the people watching this a bit of a break. 'Cause we are at 2 hours and 30 minutes.
I
So,
suppose we should take account for their mortal weakness.
yes, I know. Lots more to talk about. Lots more. Genuinely, this might be a 3-parter. This could be a 2-parter. We may... we'll
We might
definitely
stretch it
splitting
to a
it up.
3 or 4 hour run and just try and do it all at once. But
Yeah, we'll
yeah,
see.
I think 3 parts is probably most likely.
So this one will come out pretty quickly. There's not a whole lot for me to do on this one, but we'll get the second one out as soon as we can. Lots more juicy stuff to talk about. Longer, gonna be a longer.
I mean,
outro
51.
for
Yeah,
sure.
51. Like, I've tried to sort of front load some of the lore stuff and theories into 50 just so we can go
Mhm.
through 51 and be like, yeah, this is connects to what I said in this part, and then we can just like, this is evidence for that, rather than stopping and starting constantly.
Because we're gonna because we're gonna be spending a whole lot of time towards the end of 51 talking about things that have happened in the other chapters that like it just makes so much more sense now. Like after this chapter, like legitimately, we made a joke that like we're gonna have to do retrospectives of the retrospectives because like everything just makes 10 times more sense now that we've fucking seen this chapter. So it's just fucking crazy. But yeah. That's it for part 1. Chapter 50. 51 is next. Got anything you want to add, Rayze?
I mean, there's not much to say ahead of it other than, man, that was rough, and oh boy, that's nothing compared to what comes next.
I was about to say, and it gets worse. It's just gonna get worse. But thank you all for watching. We'll see you pretty soon, I think.
We'll see if it's like I would say we. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not going to put a label on it, other because Techno will get mad at me. But as soon as we reasonably can.
Time is a
Flat circle.
object. That's right. All right. Well, thank you all for listening.
Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Absolutely. See y'all.